Remote Cabin Radio proudly presents the Caribbean Crisis 2 incident. In 1983, the Cold War was at its peak. The United States and the Soviet Union were deeply embroiled in a geopolitical standoff that spanned the globe. Both superpowers maintained an intense military presence, conducting extensive naval operations and anti-submarine warfare exercises. The Caribbean Sea was a critical arena for these activities due to its strategic location, offering a staging ground close to the U.S. mainland and pivotal maritime routes. This region was particularly significant as it provided direct access to the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean, making it a focal point for both American and Soviet naval strategies. The Cold War era was characterized by an atmosphere of suspicion and espionage, where every move by one superpower was closely monitored and often countered by the other. The United States, with its extensive naval capabilities, sought to dominate the seas, using its fleet to project power and gather intelligence on Soviet movements. The Soviet Union, on the other hand, relied on its advanced submarine technology to silently patrol the world's oceans, conducting reconnaissance missions and ensuring its own strategic interests were protected. It was within this volatile context that the Caribbean Crisis 2 incident occurred, involving two formidable naval assets, the USS Vigilant and the Soviet submarine K-324. This incident would come to epitomize the delicate balance of power and the ever-present danger of accidental escalation during the Cold War. USS Vigilant, DDG-101. Type: Guided Missile Destroyer. Commissioned, 1978. Captain, Commander John Jack Thompson. Mission: part of the U.S. Navy's Atlantic Fleet, the USS Vigilant was conducting anti-submarine warfare exercises in the Caribbean Sea. Equipped with advanced sonar systems, including a towed array sonar, the destroyer's primary task was to detect and track Soviet submarines, maintaining the United States' strategic edge in underwater surveillance. The USS Vigilant was a state-of-the-art vessel, embodying the pinnacle of American naval engineering at the time. It featured a sophisticated array of weaponry, including surface-to-air missiles, anti-ship missiles, and torpedoes, designed to counter any threat, whether from the air, surface, or underwater. Its advanced radar and sonar systems allowed it to detect and engage targets at great distances, making it a formidable presence in any naval theater. K-324. Type: Soviet Victor III class nuclear-powered attack submarine. Commissioned, 1980. Captain First Rank Ivan Petrov. Mission: the K-324 was on a clandestine reconnaissance mission in the Caribbean Sea. Tasked with gathering intelligence on U.S. naval activities, the submarine aimed to bolster the Soviet Union's strategic posture in the region. The K-324 was armed with torpedoes and anti-ship missiles, prepared for both surveillance and combat. The K-324 was a product of the Soviet Union's extensive investment in submarine technology. The Victor III class represented a significant advancement over previous models, featuring improved stealth capabilities, enhanced sonar systems, and greater operational range. The submarine was capable of operating at significant depths and at high speeds, making it an elusive target for enemy forces. Its nuclear propulsion system allowed it to remain submerged for extended periods, providing a stealthy and persistent threat. During a routine anti-submarine warfare exercise, the USS Vigilant deployed its towed array sonar system. A sophisticated, long, flexibly cable embedded with hydrophone is designed to detect submarines. The towed array extended far behind the ship, sweeping the underwater expanse for any sign of enemy submarines. Unbeknownst to the Vigilance crew, the Soviet submarine K-324 was conducting its own surveillance mission in the same waters. As the Vigilant maneuvered, its towed array sonar became entangled with the K-324, leading to an immediate and dramatic escalation in tensions. The crew of the USS Vigilant initially believed they had made contact with an enemy vessel. The entanglement caused significant vibrations and tension along the towed array cable, signaling an unexpected and serious underwater obstruction. Meanwhile, the K-324's crew, feeling the sudden tugging and immobilization, feared they had been detected and compromised by U.S. forces. The initial moments of entanglement were chaotic. On the USS Vigilant, sonar operators reported unusual readings, and the ship's systems indicated a possible collision or contact with a submerged object. Commander Thompson immediately ordered a halt to the ship's maneuvers and directed the crew to ascertain the nature of the obstruction. The tension on board was palpable as the crew prepared for a potential confrontation. On the K-324, Captain Petrov and his crew were equally alarmed. The sudden jolt and subsequent immobility of the submarine were clear signs that they had been caught in an unexpected and dangerous situation. The submarine's advanced sensors indicated the presence of the towed array, and the crew worked quickly to assess the damage and potential threats. The entanglement quickly led to a standoff between the two military forces. The immediate concern for both sides was to prevent the incident from escalating into open conflict. However, communication was severely limited and the potential for misunderstanding was high. USS Vigilant's response. Commander John Thompson of the USS Vigilant, recognizing the gravity of the situation, ordered his crew to attempt to disentangle the towed array sonar system from the submarine. This process was fraught with danger. Any aggressive or rapid movement could damage the sonar system, the submarine, or even trigger a hostile response. Commander Thompson's decision-making process was critical. He understood that any aggressive actions could be misinterpreted by the Soviet crew, leading to a potentially catastrophic escalation. Thompson ordered the ship to maintain a defensive posture while focusing on carefully maneuvering to release the towed array. The ship's engineers and sonar operators worked in concert, using precise and controlled movements to avoid further complications. K-324's responser, Captain Ivan Petrov of the K-324, ordered his crew to remain calm and avoid any actions that could be perceived as aggressive. The submarine's primary goal was to avoid detection and prevent any escalation. The crew worked diligently to free themselves from the towed array while maintaining a low profile. Captain Petrov's experience and leadership were crucial in these tense moments. He ordered the submarine to remain at a low depth and reduce its noise signature to avoid detection by other U.S. vessels in the area. The crew used a combination of manual and automated systems to carefully work on disentangling the sonar cable without causing additional damage to the submarine. As the USS Vigilant and the K-324 maneuvered to disentangle themselves, other U.S. Navy ships in the vicinity, alerted by the distress signals and unusual movements, began moving towards the scene. These ships included frigates and support vessels prepared to assist or engage if necessary. The presence of additional U.S. vessels added to the tension, as the Soviet crew became increasingly aware of their precarious position. The arrival of other U.S. Navy vessels created a complex and dangerous situation. These ships, unaware of the exact nature of the incident, were ready to provide support or engage any perceived threats. Communication between the Vigilant and these support ships was critical to prevent any misunderstandings. Commander Thompson used secure communication channels to inform the other ships of the situation, emphasizing the need for caution and restraint. After several hours of delicate maneuvering and cautious communication through non-aggressive signaling and radio messages, the USS Vigilant and the K-324 managed to disentangle the towed array sonar system. The entanglement had been a complex mechanical problem, but it also represented a significant diplomatic and military challenge. Both sides took great care to avoid any actions that could escalate the situation. Commander Thompson's leadership was instrumental in preventing the incident from spiraling out of control. He maintained strict orders to avoid any aggressive actions and emphasized the need for restraint. Similarly, Captain Petrov's calm and strategic decision-making helped the K-324 navigate the crisis without provoking further conflict. The process of disentangling the towed array was meticulous and painstaking. The USS Vigilant used its maneuvering thrusters to carefully adjust its position, while the K-324's crew employed specialized tools and techniques to free the submarine from the sonar cable. The communication between the two vessels, though limited, was conducted through a combination of coded messages and sonar pings, ensuring that both sides understood the delicate nature of the situation. Once the entanglement was resolved, the USS Vigilant and the K-324 withdrew from the area, each returning to their respective bases. The incident did not end with the physical disentanglement. It had significant immediate and long-term consequences. USS Vigilant, DDG-101. Post-incident actions. The USS Vigilant returned to its home port in Norfolk, Virginia, where it underwent a thorough inspection and maintenance to ensure the towed array sonar system was fully operational. Commander John Thompson received commendations for his leadership and restraint during the incident. His actions were praised in military circles as they prevented what could have been a catastrophic escalation. The USS Vigilant continued to serve in the U.S. Navy until it was decommissioned in 2005. Upon returning to Norfolk, the USS Vigilant underwent a comprehensive review. Naval engineers and technicians meticulously examined the towed array sonar system, ensuring that it was fully operational and free from any damage that could affect its performance. The ship's crew participated in debriefings and post-mission analysis, sharing their experiences and insights to improve future operational protocols. K-324. Post-incident actions. The K-324 returned to its base in the Soviet Union. The submarine underwent repairs to address any damage sustained during the entanglement. Captain Ivan Petrov was praised for his calm and decisive actions during the incident. The K-324 continued to serve in the Soviet Navy until it was decommissioned in the early 1990s. The return to the Soviet base was marked by a thorough inspection and repair process. The entanglement had caused minor damage to the submarine's hull and sonar systems, which required immediate attention. Soviet engineers and technicians worked tirelessly to restore the submarine to full operational status. Captain Petrov and his crew were debriefed, and their experiences were documented to enhance future training and operational protocols. The Caribbean Crisis II incident of 1983 remains a lesser-known but significant event in the history of the Cold War. It underscores the delicate balance that existed between the United States and the Soviet Union, and the constant vigilance required to maintain peace and stability during a time of heightened tensions. The incident also serves as a reminder of the importance of communication and restraint in preventing unintended escalations and potential conflicts.